Hello, my name's Joby Carter from Carter's Team Fair, and we are live. But I'm not doing anything because I haven't got a cup of tea. Not having it. I don't need my pen.
So what, are we waiting 10 minutes?
Oh, I love it. It just tells me I'm live. I know that. I'll put the phone on silent. There you go. Ring. Oh no, now I've taken it off silent. No, it's fine. Okay, right. Okay, today we're talking about laying the fair out, which I was going to show you on a bit of paper, but Matt has just stole my pen. What did he say? Live. That's because people keep talking to me, which is lovely, but not when I'm doing it live. So, Matt, where you gone?
I'm here.
I need you directing me here. Can you actually see the paper? Can you see the paper?
We can indeed.
Okay, so
we're good to go.
How does signwriting and laying the fair out, what do they have in common? Well, I teach sign, as you know. Where is it? Oh look, can you see that? Huh. Did you put that there?
It's just
weird.
It follows you around.
So there's so many facets to lettering that people don't understand. These days people print things on a computer and that's it, easily done. Back in the day, you know, when people do newspapers, they just have to lay it all out and print it. I don't know much about printing, but everything was done by hand, everything was harder. And signwriting was the same, and there was just, you know, signwriting in every town, numerous in bigger towns, thousands across the country. When people wanted to convey a message, it had to be sign written. It couldn't be stuck on with sticky letters. Now, nothing wrong with sticky letters. If you're running a modern business, you know, why not? It's more cost effective, and you haven't got to do a 5-year apprenticeship to stick on letters. And I'm sure there is skill in doing it properly and doing it well. I'm not undermining that, but for what we do with heritage equipment, my belief is when you restore something, it should be done in the same fashion that it was done when it was new. So in the case of this lorry, it's traditionally painted, lined out by hand. We haven't used any tape. And when we lay stuff out, it's all done with a brush. When I teach a course, it's a 5-day course, and people, they see my work and they presume they're going to be doing 10 colour fancy stuff, but what I do is I knock them back to size and take them back to the original font of Roman, which, you know, when you do a Roman A, should probably be around the other way really, should probably be over my shoulder, shouldn't do, but it's fine. I just have to turn their screens upside down. Your basic Roman A with a thin stroke and a thick stroke, and that thick on an A is always on that side. The proportions here should be, you know, nicely proportioned so that this space in here and this space in here.
I'm going to come in a bit so we can see what you're doing.
Yeah, that's fine. So they look right. And feel right, and there are things you do, like in the case of this, actually that point often would come above it, because if you took it just to the line it looked too small. Now when you do let's just say along these parameters here, when you do an O actually protrudes the lines, and then it's thin at the top, thick down the sides. It's very sketchy, this, but people perceive an O as an oval, when often they're as tall as they are wide, but because of the thick and thin, your eye registers the oval in the middle. So there's a common mistake when people are doing O's, they do O's like this, and then they do that inside like that, and it looks too small because their eye thinks it's an oval when it's not. It's the inside that's, you know, elliptic. Anyway, that's the point. Is you take people back to the basics, because if you can't do the basics, you can't do the fancy stuff. You can't do the block and the shadow. And I do another course. I do a 2-day course, which is fancy lettering and Fairground art, and I've got one of those in December, and that's more about the scrolls and the fancy effects you can put on lettering rather than natural lettering. It's not a cheap 5-day course. So when we come to just doing lettering, let's just say I'm going to do a simple block like this, and I'll make that a bit smaller, and I want to put the word Carter's in. You actually start in the middle of a letter when you do sign writing. You often.
I'm going to come around the back. Actually.
Yeah, no, do it. This is obviously very sketchy because I'm not even using a ruler. So we actually start with a T. Then we come back over here. And already now, for instance, when you do something like this, when you get to that stage, I would actually just stop and shunt bits along, because I'm gonna have a job to shoehorn this in here. See, now the R won't fit, but we'll put it in there anyway, and all this lot would get moved along accordingly. So anyway, let's just forget that. Now the point is, the important thing about lettering is the negative space you've created in between them. Now here's one I made earlier. So
very blue.
Yeah. So this gap here is bigger, because in this style, you've got a straight here. So this gap here bigger is this gap here, to allow for the fact this now is down and you've got this space here. Now what people often want to do when they sign write is they want to put it all in boxes. And they want to literally, well, of course, an I is much smaller than a W. So when you lay out a bit of letter, it moves it all about, and that's something that's very kind of fluid. And obviously, it'll take a bit longer than I did to do that. But you know, for instance, the Y and A, this crosses over it. So if that was in a box and this was over here, there'd be a huge gap, and it'd look like DA, yeah. And you know, when I teach it, it's a case of showing people, let them make mistakes, point it out, showing them, and suddenly you can see over the course of the week they get it, and it's sinking in. I see. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed teaching the course. So what has this got to do with laying a fair out? Well, back to the drawing board. You don't have to be a sign writer to lay a fair out. Now often when you go to fairs, they're very regimental. You've got all the big rides in a line, and then you've got all the hooplas and the juveniles in another line, and then there's just a row of side stuff, because that's the easiest way of doing it. Now, we do lend towards that often, but the point is, it's not the shape of the ride, it's the shape between them that is the important bit. And of course, each ride is different in size, and each ride's got different, you know, for instance, the chairplane has got to swing out of the chairs, so you need to leave more room. You need to consider that if you've got a low ride, that can be good if you want people to see the stuff behind it, like Little Octopus and the train ride. And the other factor to it, of course, there's practical factors of where the generators go and how long your cables are, and you know, losing amps if your cables are too long. Fire entrance, where's the token booth in relation to being in the middle of the fair? Can we see as many things as possible from the token booth? Where do the wagons go? Because we act as security. We are the ears at night looking after the fair. Where do I put the kip trucks, where they're not going to make too much noise at night when they're having a drink or two, and to not to annoy other people that don't want to listen to them having a drink or two and having fun, or near local houses. You have to think about, here I've blocked off, there's an old people's home there, a retirement home there, so I've laid trucks along the back there to try and stop any unnecessary noise. You know, so I think they enjoy looking over the fair, but they don't want excessive noise. You've got the skid, which is very noisy, which no one wants to be behind, but actually creates a fantastic atmosphere. But if you're trying to sell someone a donut when the skid's going on, it's hard to hear.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. And even down to the, you know, here's easy in the sense that we can't be seen from the road, but often you're laying the fair out. Your biggest advert is the fair itself. If you're next to a road, people seeing it, so you want the bit they see to look fabulous, and the bits they don't want to see to be at the back. My dad always prided himself on the fact that he said the back of our fair looks better than the most of front of fairs. I mean, look, we live in traditional wagons, they're all painted like this, and it clearly makes it different, but I think some fairs, because they live in white caravans that aren't any different to one you can buy off the shelf, if you like, it doesn't make them special. And often if they're out the front there, they're not putting their best foot forward. You want the public to be wowed when they see the fair initially. So how do I lay the fair out? Sometimes councils, I say, oh, can you send us a map of how you're going to do the fair? Why? What are you going to do with it? I've never had someone ring me up and say, well, I'm not sure, do you think you should put the gallopers there? We do it, I do it every week. Obviously I lay it to the regulations, so you can get, you know, if you've got fire access and so on and so forth. And normally, sometimes I do have to do a map and think, normally, genuinely, when I'm driving there that morning is when I decide how I'm going to lay the fare out, and I get out and often start with a dodgem. So let's just say this is a common layout. Well, let's lay out what we did here, and I'll tell you how I did it, because I wanted to get the fare back that way. So let's just say this is Beacon Park. I started with a dodgem. Now I like to change things up, but I knew full well that this was quite a flat bit, and that's another very relevant thing. So the dodgem and the skid are the two you want on the flat ground, and the dodgem goes here. Now, how do you lay the dodgem out? How do you lay the fare out? Well, when my dad was the governor, very much sort of dictator of the fare, he laid the ground out. No one else had ever done it. Fortunately, my dad got ill and had to go into hospital. He had to go into hospital, you know, and he was told, and he sort of almost went kicking and screaming. He's all, let me just do this. No, Dad, you've got to go. Mum took him off, and he just did a sketch on how you lay the fare out, and it was no tape measure. It was literally the dodgem is across there, 10 paces to the end, 7, obviously 7 this end, to the middle, 7, 7. So you decide where you want to put it. You put a block there, you walk 7 paces there, 7 paces there. You go back to the front because you know that's where you want the front. You do it again, 7, 7. These are 10 apart. You walk out 7, you walk out 7, and then when the trucks come in, it's now on 2 trucks. The box truck goes in like this, or at the end, drawbar there. Turn it round. Put the 8-legger there. Tail lift comes out. All the stretchers come out the back. They lay it out. They do the plates, and then when that's done, that truck goes in here for getting the cars off. Bosh, there's a dodgem built. But the point is, often start with a dodgem because it's often at the back in the middle. It's down the end here, and on from there, I went over and I did the ghost train. So I established the back line by, and it's a funny old part. There's ridges here, so I put the ghost train in there, sort of between trees. So that was decided there, and then I knew I was going to put the side joints here, but I'll come back to that. But working out from that. So the juveniles, you need, there again, Dad did a drawing. So if you laid out the Austin car, you were 8 paces by 10 paces. And then next juvenile next to it, then is 3 paces, so you need 3 in between. And then the train ride, 4 to the centre, 4 to the outside, so it's 8. And then if you went along, you had another 3. Let's just say the Toy Town, that's about 7. So you do a big 6 across there. It's more like 7, but you just know it's a little bit bigger, and it is that simple. And I just to illustrate, because allegedly, when I'm laying the ground out, because I'm often sort of on one, as they call it, they hum the same music that they hum to Darth Vader when he's stomping about. But it's literally. Do you want to? No, do you not? Dum dum. I can't do it. No, you'll have to edit it over the top, won't you? But literally decide where something goes, and then let's just say I was laying the train out. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and a gap of 3. 1, 2, 3. And if it was a mini octopus, another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No tape measure required. And that's how it's done every week. But what there'll be is about 100 blocks of wood laid out on the ground, and only me who knows what goes where. But as things come in, so you lay the things out that have turned up, you get the dodgem in, and then so the way I've worked it is, so the point is, if you add another 3 to this and 3 to this, you've got a gap of 14. So you've got your gap there and your gap there, and you've got 14. So I knew the big rides wanted to go down here, so what I've done there is I've paced 14 there across there, allow for the juveniles, and then I've paced out 10 to allow for the centre of the skid, and it'll be another 10, so 10 and 10, and away from the dodgem. So then you work this way, but you make sure you're parallel. So I'd wander off here, I'd go down here, I'd work out what was going in here, I'd put a mark there, and that would be my central line for my machines. So on from there we had the gallopers, so we'll give it a bit more room because it's a big machine. So I went 4, and then 6, and then 6, so we got the marker there, then the arc, so we went another 4, and then 8 to the centre of that, 8 to the centre of that, so that's the arc there. Oh, thank you, darling, I've got a cup of tea. So that's the arc. Where's the galloper? There, that's the galloper. This is the skid. Now I did a bit of a different layout here because of the lay of the land. So normally the yachts would be in line and swinging like so, but had I laid the yachts that way, they would have been really high up. So I've swung them through 90 degrees, and because we were a bit tight here and we run out of room, it's a bit of an odd shaped ground. So what I did was I put the yachts this way round with a bit sticking out like that, and then I put the chairs here. We got like SYs, steam yachts, and then I had a line of the small stuff. So we got the boat ride, train ride, how do I do it? Austin car ride, which is the shape sort of bit like Dodgem, and then we had the hoopla, we had the Toy Town, and we had the train ride. No, the octopus. So we put the octopus, Toy Town, Swanee, Austin Cars, Toy Town,
which has ducks on it,
and boat which has ducks on it.
And it's called a Swanee.
Who knew?
Why is it called a Swanee?
Just what we've always called it. That's good enough for me. So then so now what did I do next? So now I wanted to put the octopus down here because I just wanted them facing one another, good for atmosphere. So we put that in the corner there, the octopus, and they're both ex Tom Smith machines, and nice to see them back together again. So we got the skid there and the octopus there, the big octopus. So then on from here we put swing boats, strikers, oh no, we missed a bit here, token booth there, mine and my wife's wagon there. We've got the autodrome here and the entrance. Then along here we've got the coconut shy, we've got the ball and bucket, we've got the arcade, and then in here, so then we got just slightly offset, we got the jets in there, and we got the whirl around here. Yes, that is a twist. It's not a sizzler, not really a whirl around, but that's what we've called it because it sounds a lot nicer, doesn't it? Whirl around sounds very old. And the paybox is here for that one, the paybox is here for the jets. Then we had the food unit there, which incidentally we've got a new one coming at bar. Well, not a new one, it's the old one being refurbed, all painted by Aaron and my mum with beautiful scenes of Italy all around the bottom of it. They're selling burgers, but it's scenes of Italy. And then along here we had side joints, the mirror show, and then two food units here. Now it's not to scale, there's obviously I'm just throwing it on there, but then around the outside, so then we got my sister's wagon there, my mum's wagon here, and they're all on show so you can see them, showing them off, and then numerous bits of transport here but blocking off for noise. And then we've got the kip truck, one kip truck here and another kip truck here, which was supposed to go there, but I wasn't here when it was laid in. But actually it's great because it looks good, because you come in and just see Carter Steam for Relive Grandma's yesterday, which you probably saw yesterday on the Facebook Live. And then the other thing you have to think about is the power. So oh yeah, we got, oh, don't forget the ice cream van. I can hear the fridge gone on. Lovely little Morris there. And even silly things like, you know, we're part of the show track, and here we did the road run, I had to leave room for that. And the box cycle just pulled it in, and you know, that if I had wish I had a quid for every time I had a photo taken yesterday. And then back here we've got the generator, the 240 set. Now bearing in mind that's the electricity, so all these living wagons, and we've got the wagons behind here as well, and the kip trucks, they all need power. So like you've got power in your house from the grid, we supply our own. Well, we've got to have cables running across the ground. We have to think about that. It's a bit unfortunate seeing back Dave with the donuts, and he's on the big set, it's just too far to go. So you've got fire, you've got the fire entrance, you've got to think of all the entrances, how people are going to get in, how they get out in an emergency, the main entrances, how good does it look when they approach, when they walk into the fair. But the important thing is, and this is where it comes back to lettering, is the negative space in between. How does the flow, have you poured this, if it was a model and you poured it on its side and you poured water in it, how would it flow through there? And that's, I must admit, is one of the thing I enjoy more than anything, is laying the ground out. And you've got to look after everyone. You've got to look after all your tenants. You want all them to take money, you want them to be successful, so there's things you can do that will benefit. You know, if you put juveniles in front of the stalls, they feed off the juveniles, because the parents are there waiting for their kids on a ride they can't go on. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go on a shooter next. There's silly little things like that, and just trying to make it look beautiful, appealing, feel safe, and people to have a great time. Because if they have a great time, they're going to tell their friends and they're going to come back again. The other thing we do, and it needs considering, is all our music comes from one system. So when you come to Carter's Fair, you haven't got clashing music. You've got the same rock and roll throughout. So they don't have to keep turning it up to try and compete with one another. We're all in the same system. We're probably more like a film set than we are a normal fun fair, but it's kind of working for us, and I hope you like it. You probably wouldn't be watching this if you didn't. So there you go. Come to the fair, and then in the winter, come and do a sign writing course, because there's so much to sign writing. Even if you don't want to do it as a profession, you're just interested, you'll be absolutely fascinated. People come away amazed at what's involved in an art form it was dying out, and it's had a resurgence, and there's more people doing it now than there was 20 years ago, much more. There's a lot of interest in it, and I really enjoy teaching it. So I enjoy teaching you how to lay a fair out. So there you go. You know now, you can all go and get your own fun fair. Or if not, buy some corgi models. Have a bit of a laugh on your kitchen table.
And the songwriting course, you can look at that on
cartersteamfair.co.uk. I don't know how to find it. It's somewhere in there.
There's a tab on there.
Is it? Yeah, you can find it.
Tab.
I can't work it. Don't understand the internet. I don't think it will take off myself. It's not going to happen, is it? Have we got any questions?
No.
No.
Lots of people like your drawing.
Do they?
Yeah.
So sometimes I will do a drawing like that, a tricky gaff for my own, but then I'll forget it because you've worked it out and you've put it in your head. But generally speaking, I've got an idea what I'm going to do, but I will very rarely do the same layout twice. So there's things I did last year that worked down there that I've repeated because of the flat ground, but this end has all been changed around. Because if you do it the same every year, by change it every year, you can trick people and make things are different. You can have exactly the same attractions and just build them up. I can't imagine why you'd want to do them the same all the time, but that's just the way we do it. But yeah, you know, when Dad was ill, we were just given a sketch of a drawing, and me and my brothers, we just had to sort of work it out for ourselves and get good at laying the ground out. And yeah, it's quite daunting. There's probably 100 things, 200 things you have to think about that I couldn't write down and tell you about. Just as you're doing it, you just, you know, you're working it out, making it up as you go along, which is the way I like it.
Jamie wants to know how big the Dodgem track is.
It's 60 foot by 40 foot. It's 40 foot. It might be 64 foot, but it's bigger at the top because of the canopy brackets. But there's another thing. You've got canopies on things which you have to allow for if you had to get a vehicle through. And yeah, like I say, swing out on the aeroplanes and so on and so forth. It's nice to be relatively tight for atmosphere, but not too tight for, you know, safety reasons. And actually, you can block things. You can block things in. So the layout is very important. If you lay it too open, you lose the atmosphere. But we're going to Carfest Monday. We're moving the day early. And we've got to get there and get built up. And it's a pay job. All the kids get free rides with their tickets. But we're paid to go, but then anyone who buys tickets, adults or extra kids ones, all that money goes to charity. So it's we were very reasonable in our fee, and then we were absolutely hammered to death. It was so busy last year, so we've asked them to be sensible with the numbers of tickets they give to people, because of course if it's too busy they won't sell tickets, and that's the bit that goes to charity. So yeah, that will be spaced out there because we've got to have queuing systems. It's like being at a theme park. But everyone seemed to love it last year. So if you're going, we'll see you at Carfest. It's a fantastic event. And we enjoyed it last year and we're looking forward to going back there. But it's an awful long way to go in a Scamel. So the show track here, which I love to bits, that came from White Waltham to here, and it took me 5 hours. And you're quite exhausted when you've driven that for 5 hours, as much as I love it. So I think they appreciate what it takes to get the fare up there. It's an awful long way from home. You're not in Kansas anymore, as they say. So
we do have one quick question.
Go ahead.
Graham wants to know: do you ever have to change the layout due to bad weather?
Yes. So if the ground's wet, you'll put the heaviest stuff nearest the gate, because there's an issue, you've got to get it in there on boards and you've got to get it back out there on board. So yeah, that's another thing when they ask you for a drawing. It's like, but you know, this will be overridden if and sometimes literally you will literally face things to the gate, or you know, wagons might be in pointless, you've just shunted them in and got them where you can. It's sort of desperate measures, but the point is the fair gets built up and you get open, and the public wouldn't think twice why you've done it, because like I say, we're always changing it. So
cool, that's it for today.
Do you want to walk around and show them the layout?
Yeah, why not?
You could,
I'll take the drawer and I'll see how good you are.
it's very sketchy.
Let me nick the mic off you.
Okay.
Joby's going to drop the mic.
I could teach a barber a thing or two. Bye everybody. Come to the fair. And oh yes, we're going to Bath after Carfest, which is beautiful, beautiful city. If you've never visited Bath, you must. And then we do the other Carfest South. Then we go to Basingstoke. We go to Woking. We go to Croxley Green, which has got a fantastic event on a Sunday with loads of cars. Just keep following us on Facebook. Keep interacting. Keep telling us what you love, and we'll try and do more of that. And we'll see you soon at the fair. Thank you, guys. Something you want that.
I'll take
That's
that.
your map.
I'll take over.
Just like the one I did.
Somebody just said. Bazman, Joby, Bazman says the three workers on the Octopus yesterday were really enjoying their job and creating an amazing atmosphere.
The what? The three guys?
The three guys on the Octopus.
They are amazing guys. Those guys on the Octopus, I've got to say that. But was it you?
No.
Oh.
I was off.
No, they've enjoyed it. I think it is very important to have staff that enjoy themselves, because that reflects in the public, and I think everyone who works here wants to be here and enjoys it, and they interact with the public, and it all rounds. Just, I mean, we get more compliments about the staff than we do the fair, and I think that's very important. And you know, the staff are very important. I do try and look after them, but I'm a bit of a slave driver. But I wouldn't get it all built up if I didn't. So they know that.
Right. That's it. I'll take you for a walk around now. Let's look at Joby's drawing. Let me just sort my mic out. I'll put you down. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. Apologies for the bumpy sound. Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday. Pull on Carfest Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, she wants a chair back.
Pull on Monday. Yeah, Monday, Richard. Right, so let's go and have a look at this layout. See how good he is. Where are we? Like this. Right, so in this corner we've got the Autodrone, which is in front of us. Then the Coconut Shy. This is old with one hand. Coconut Shy. Ball and Bucket. Arcade. Whirl around. There she is. Then we've got the Jets in the corner there, and then next to the Jets, sorry, there's the Jets. Then we've got Chairplanes, and then if we look down like this, you got all the juveniles, train ride, boat ride. All the stalls down there on the left hand side. And then we got the Ark, steam yachts, gallopers, skid. So I think you get the gist of this. That's a pretty good drawing compared to our layout, I would say. He knows what he's doing, Joby. And these are his paces. Don, 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 don. There you go. And then we've got the Dodgem down the bottom. the octopus on the other side of the jets. And that's it. Sorry, thanks. And that's it. From a mediocre drawing to a laid out fairground. Nope, there's plenty of caravans. They're dotted around and hidden between lorries and stuff. Graham. So yep, that's it for today. How to lay out the fairground and how it's related to fairground art. It's all kind of one and the same thing, really. Laying out a ground is art to make it look the way it does. So there we go, folks. Thanks again for joining us this morning. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Live with Joby. If you want to check all of them out, you can pop onto Facebook. They're all on there in our video section. They will all be on YouTube next year. They're going to get uploaded as a series. And if you like them, share them, comment on them. And that'll be it for today. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon.